again. My name is Lori Friedman. I am your host for today's event. It's Postcarding with Indivisible Marin. You're out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And if you could introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're from, I'm going to go ahead and start my slides. A few housekeeping tips before we get started. It's a large group, so we'll be muted for the entire hour until our Q&A at the end. If you could turn your video on, that would be great. We have some security issues, unfortunately, this year, and it's just very helpful for us if you could put your video on throughout the call. Plus, it just makes it seem a little more personal when we have these large groups on Zoom. We love an active chat. Again, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from, your postcarding experience. Feel free to ask questions and make comments as we go along. We have several team members here today that will be there to help answer those questions. You don't need to take any notes. We are recording this call, and we will send out the recording in a couple of days, and it will also be available on our website. This is the monthly call. We meet every month to talk about new postcarding news, our current programming, and to also do training for new people. So the way the call works is the first half hour or so is new information, where we'll be updating you on things that are going on. And then if you're already writing with us, you can drop off the call. If you want to, the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, we'll walk you through a quick training of how to use our website and how to get your addresses and scripts to write postcards. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. But again, we do this every month. There's always a brief review of the basics, some new information, and then a training. I'd like to introduce our team tonight. Susan Morgan's our founder and director. She's not here tonight, but she does say hi. Joy and I are here. We co-lead the program. We've been doing this together since 2019. I run the online part of the program, and Joy runs our local in-person programming here, including our packet pickup program. She's extremely busy, and we are delighted to have 3 wonderful new people joining us this year to help us because this program's growing so quickly. Annie Fox is here, and she'll be in the chat tonight, and also Diane Grubb and Marianne Ross are names that you'll get to know. Our agenda today is simple. I'm going to go over some brief election updates, talk about what makes a good postcarding campaign, and then we're going to go in depth into our plans this year in the Senate, which now is Ohio, and our House campaigns, which are in California. At that point, you can drop off the call, and if you're experienced and you're already writing with us, if you're new, please do stay on, and I'll walk you through the website and get you started writing. All right, on the election overall, people do ask me, there is no postcarding available for the presidential race, but anytime you write to support a Democratic candidate anywhere, you'll be supporting the Biden ticket indirectly. On the Senate side, we have 7 seats that are competitive this year. Excuse me. Arizona, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. We need to win all of these 7 seats in order to keep control of the Senate, because we will lose West Virginia. So that'll bring us into a 50-50 count going into November. The challenge is that these are all ours to defend. We have the incumbent candidate or the incumbent party in all of these. So we don't have an opportunity to pick up seats this year. So the challenge is definitely there, but it's certainly a clear path to doing that. On the House side, there'll be 25 competitive seats again that are up for grabs that either side could win. These will be a combination of about 12 seats that we have to hold, that we already are the incumbent, and another 12 or 13 that we need to flip. Out of that mix, we need to net 4 new seats to regain control. We here in California like to say we are the road to flipping the House because we have the majority of the seats there. We have 5 in just our state alone, and that is where we work as a California group. So what works? Where do we want to work to be the most effective? And with postcarding, the effectiveness, the ability to make a voter take an action goes up by about 0.5% to 2%. With postcarding. That is the lowest of all the tactics. Phone banking, you'll see a 4 to 5% increase. With something like canvassing, you might see up to 8 points. But postcarding can be very, very effective, mainly because of the large numbers of volunteers that we get to do it and the ability to reach so many voters. But in order for it to work, in order for it to be worth our time and money, we want to focus on those races that I just talked about, those races that are competitive, that are considered a toss-up, that meaning a statistical tie that could be won by either side, so that 1/2 to 2% will actually create a winning margin for Democrats. And to do that, we have to work with a certain type of group. Activate America or community groups like we are, we don't have the ability to run our own programs. We have to partner with a professional organization that has access to voter rolls, that can create good lists, that can network with groups on the ground to find out what makes a good script and where those voters are. That we need to be with large organizations. You need to reach the majority of voters for that 1.5 to 2% increase to be able to really affect an election. So toss-up races, but you need to be able to reach a lot of voters. And then you need to make sure that you're reaching the right voters. You don't just want to blindly send out postcards to everybody on a voter list, because many of those voters are going to vote anyway. So you want to be able to target your postcards to those voters, those Democrats or democratically leaning voters that are what we call low propensity, meaning they don't vote in every election. They're low frequency voters, or a low information voter. That is something that we would call like an 18-year-old that just voted. So, or that's just registered. They're new. They don't have a lot of information. That postcards can work with them. It doesn't work very well as persuasion. So you're not going to be writing to Republicans or Republican-leaning voters trying to get them to change their minds. That can be done at the door and it can be done over the phone, but not so much with postcards. So you're only going to be writing to democratically leaning voters. But those that are not highly engaged in the cycle, that are what we call in a low turnout area. And many of the races that we're going to be writing in are low turnout. Historically, for many, many reasons, you're going to see a lot of voters that just don't turn out. So we're focused especially in the Central Valley this year, which is a low turnout area here in California. And we'll be looking at parts of states that are simply low turnout. This often is areas that have a lot of financial and economic challenges, often groups of color, younger voters, blocks of voters that are struggling, that just don't engage or don't have a lot of faith in the political process. We also want to make sure that we give ourselves to write 2 to 3 cards per cycle per voter. And that is the amount that has been shown through research to be the most effective. So we don't want to be working with someone that is only going to send 1 card out. And also we don't need to send 10 cards out. We just want to be with a group that can measure this out so that these voters get 2 to 3 cards per cycle. And we want to make sure they're also getting a phone call and a knock on the door, which pretty much all these voters are getting because they're in battleground areas. But that coordination where voters get multiple touches from different types of contacts work really well. And then lastly, we want to make sure that the message and the tone of the script is going to be effective. And we're really lucky with postcarding because out of all of the tactics, the phone banking, the canvassing, we have the most amount of recent research on what's effective with postcarding. And we know that those get out the vote messages, the last few weeks or the months of the cycle are very effective. We also know that giving out voting information about someone's voting location or how to request a mail-in ballot or their local voting office and how to contact them if they have an issue, all of that is very effective and has been shown to help voters make that action. Again, persuasion and trying to persuade a Republican is just not, it's not going to work. The tone is more the language that we use to send that message out. And we like social pressure. And social pressure is basically peer pressure that puts a little bit of pressure on a voter to take an action. It doesn't have to be really heavy, but we want to make them aware of their role in their community, their role in the political world, that it can really make a difference. The typical one that we used to say is whether or not you vote is public, but who you vote for is private. And that's probably the heaviest that you'll see. What we tend to see now is your neighbors are counting on you, or let's vote for the children of our community, or you'll be really glad you voted. Those kinds of things are found to be extremely effective. And So much more so that we don't really write messages anymore that don't have that element, because it is really can up to double the effectiveness of your postcard. This is a great example of a script. It was from John Fetterman's campaign in 2022. And you can see it's a simple white postcard, nothing fancy, some colors, some highlighting, and that's it. We want it to look handmade. We want it to stand out in a pile of mail. But it's just, dear voter, Republicans have introduced a national abortion ban. Vote John Fetterman for the United States Senate. He'll fight for our freedoms to make decisions about our own bodies. Early voting has started. Info at vote.pa.gov. Your neighbors are counting on you. And this combines, this message went to women 18 to 35 in the last weeks of the midterms. And it has an issue, but an issue alone isn't going to make that voter take notice. We want to make sure that we are putting John Fetterman's name out there, that we're asking them to take an action, that we've given them voting information, that early voting has already started. You can get information at this website, and a little bit of social pressure. Your neighbors are counting on you. This is a great script, really brings together all the different things that make a good postcard. So what about this year? Knowing where we need to work and what we're looking for, that gives us a lot of choices. That gives us 7 states and 25 House races. And obviously we're not going to do that. So Joy and Susan and I sit down constantly, it feels like, and talk about our options. And what we do as an organization is we prioritize those toss-up races only. We look for areas that have a lower population, so that we have a better chance of reaching as many voters as needed. And we look for races that are under-resourced, that have comparatively less volunteers than other races. All being equal, they're all equally competitive, all equally a toss-up, equal polls, all of that. But we're looking for those places where we can make a big difference. This year on the Senate side, that's going to be Montana and Nevada and Ohio. Montana and Nevada are obviously low population states. They have less volunteers, so we can just make a bigger impact. Ohio is one of those races that is just going to be very, very close toss-up races, and we have a history of working there. The other 4 states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, and Wisconsin, are actually ranked lean Democrat right now. They're not considered a toss-up. If you live in those states, you should certainly be working there. We would jump in there in a heartbeat if they moved to a toss-up. But right now, they're well-resourced on their own, and us as an out-of-state group are going to be working in these states that have less available resources. So we're in Ohio right now, mainly because Montana and Nevada are having their primaries right now. Montana just had theirs last week. Nevada's is tomorrow. So they don't have their campaigns up and running yet. So we've been in Ohio now for 2 months. So it's good to talk about it, get everybody up to speed on what's happening there and why we're writing the script that we are. Ohio is a big state. It's, I think, in the top 10 in the country, 8 million registered voters. What's challenging about Ohio is that they don't register by political party there. So we don't know who our voters are. We know that they're very gerrymandered. They have a Republican trifecta, so they control all areas of government with one exception. They have Sherrod Brown as one of their senators, and he's been there forever. If you look at the election history in Ohio, there's a lot of reason to hope. Some people come to me and say, why are we in Ohio? It's such a red state. But if you look at the last 16 years or so, we've won more than we've lost there. It's all over the place. So we have the voters there. Brown has won all of his races by over 7 points, usually 6, 7, 8 points. He gets a lot of crossover support from Republicans. And the Reproductive Rights Initiative last year that won by 13 and 14 points. So our voters are there. They are very disillusioned and they're very discouraged because they don't have proportional power. But there's some things that are going on in Ohio that we're really excited about, that we think this is definitely a winnable race. Our candidates are Sherrod Brown. He's been in elected office there since the 70s. He's iconic there. He calls himself a progressive populist. But he's been winning at every level of government since he was in his 20s. He's gone through local, state government. He was a congressman for many years, and he's been a United States Senator since 2006. The other candidate is, we got the candidate that we wanted there. They had a very competitive primary. We got Bernie Moreno, who is a car salesman, a very wealthy car ownership dealership person. And he is very extreme. He has no political experience. He's an abortion ban with no exceptions. He's exactly who we wanted. When we work in middle road states like this, where we're looking to capture that independent vote, we want an extremist candidate. So we got exactly what we wanted. He's already stumbling. And so we have a candidate advantage there. Brown has been getting crossover Republican votes his entire life. He really is a working class, populist kind of candidate, very strong with unions, and he's extremely popular in the state, even though he's a Democrat. He's kind of a unicorn. There's nobody really like him in the country. I think maybe Joe Manchin came the closest to be able to do what Brown's been doing, but he's definitely a special person. They've reorganized their state party that led to a lot of the success they had last year with that initiative. So they'll be running on reproductive freedom. Our scripts will definitely be focused on that. In addition, they've added a gerrymandering initiative to their ballot this year, which will help drive out Democratic votes. This will be an initiative that, if passes, will force the state to redo their redistricting process and hopefully make it more fair. Jobs and inflation will be another issue here that's big. Also, on the Supreme Court side, in their state Supreme Court, there's 3 spaces that are open. If we win those, 2 of which we already hold, we will flip the Supreme Court blue, and that will have an absolute huge effect on Ohio politics. So there's a lot going on in this state that we have a momentum for. We're excited about being able to work there. You might wonder how he's doing. He's got an enormous fundraising advantage because he's been running for politics his entire life, and he's got $15 million more than his friend does there. He's already up in the polls 2 to 4 points. That will narrow as we get closer to the election and more people start deciding, but we are in really great shape to start out in Ohio, despite the some of the dismal wording out there. So this is our script. The voting rights groups in Ohio have asked Activate America, who's our partner that writes all of our scripts and gives us all of our addresses, to ask people to request their mail-in ballot. In Ohio, you have to do this before every single election, including if they're 6 weeks apart. It's a voter suppression state. They make it very difficult to vote. So they have asked us to do this. So we've been doing it for about 2 months, right? The whole entire campaign is written to hundreds of thousands of voters, democratically leaning voters who vote infrequently, those low frequency voters, to promote voting by mail. So it's pretty simple. It's a little bit of a long script for us, but it's make your life easier. Sign up now to vote absentee in November. It will walk the people through the steps to request that ballot. And then at the end, you'll be glad you did. It's that simple. And we know as Democrats, we love early voters. It puts people off the voting rolls early, and it allows us to target those remaining voters more effectively in the last few weeks of an election. All right, on the House side, we will always have a Senate race, and we will always have a California House race available. We try to, if we change, we try to change around the 1st of the month. It really depends on how fast we go through lists, but you'll always find those available in one way or another. For the California side, we have those 5 races that I talked about, and they're all toss-ups. They're all statistical ties. They could be won by either side. They're all extremely close. 2 of the districts, 27 and 41, those are down in Los Angeles. 41 might be Will Rollins, if you've heard of him, and 27 is George Whitesides. Those districts are very well resourced. They have a lot of volunteers and a lot of groups. So right now, they don't need a lot of out-of-district help. They're doing well with postcarding on their own, but 3 are not. In the Central Valley, Adam Gray in 13 and Rudy Salas in 22. We've been working in these districts for multiple cycles now. And in Orange County, 47, Dave Min. That's Katie Porter's district that she's gave up for her unsuccessful bid for the Senate seat here. So we've got these 3 races, and I check in with Activate America every couple of weeks, ask them where they need help. Where they need help is where we go. So right now we're in 13. And 13 is an interesting district. The Central Valley, for those of you that don't live here, is the central part of our state. It's the agricultural center. We grow the majority of food, actually, in the country comes from the Central Valley. It's the top Democratic target to flip a seat because we just lost by 564 votes in 2022. So we're very optimistic that with big turnout, with a presidential election year, that we're going to be able to clear that margin. It's rated a toss-up. We have a huge voter registration advantage there, all 13 points or so. This is a young Latino-dominated district, very low turnout. The economy is the major issue. Our candidate's name is Adam Gray. He's a former assemblyman there. Great fit for the district, very bipartisan, very moderate, very charismatic guy. We are really excited that he's running. The other seat we're working in right now is 47, and that is Katie Porter's district. This is a little bit different. This is a hold because technically it's already in our hands. It's just that without her running, it's a challenge. The Republicans have already indicated that this is their top target in the country to flip. They think without her and all of her millions of dollars that she can fundraise for, that they can do it. And it's a smart move on their part. We have a great candidate. It's going to be a very intense, very nasty, I think, negative campaign between these two men. She won it by just 3 points in 2022. It's rated a toss-up. You can see by the voter registration margins, it's extremely close between Republicans and Democrats. It's who's going to capture that unaffiliated vote that's going to win this race. So lots and lots of conversations with voters. It's an expensive media market. It's Los Angeles. The big issues in this district are economy. It's a coastal district, so climate is also huge there. Our candidate is Dave Min. He is the current state senator from there. He's a first-time United States Congress candidate, but he is a strong personality. It's a complicated race, but we're excited about his chances too. And the script is the same for both men. We're writing to registered Democrats under the age of, I think it's 40, and part of that is blocked on my screen, but these are infrequent voters or brand new registered voters. So lower information voters. A lot of people won't know Dave or Adam because they haven't been their current congressman. So we want to do introductory messages. This will be the first of 3. We're starting really early. These voters will get multiple postcards from us. This is talking again about some economic issues, Social Security, lower healthcare, prescription drugs, and just a general vote to vote for him to protect our freedoms, our families, our futures. Not a lot of social pressure in this. You'll see more as we move through the year. Okay, before I turn it over to Joy to talk about how to get started with us, I just want to show you our progress this year. This is thanks to people like Annie that's on this call, and Joy. This is huge growth, really primarily in our packet program. It's just been so busy, but you can see that we hit our first month of 10,000. We've never hit 10,000 in a month this early in the cycle before. We're up. Hoping for 100,000 postcards this year. So hopefully you'll join us today, and we're hoping for about 12,000 this month and just continue to grow. A couple of things I just want to say before I turn it over to Joy, and that is, I'm glad you're all here tonight. This is the most important time to be working. If we wait until September and October to write to voters, it's way too late. We have to get 3 postcards in. We have to start now. If we only get 1 in, we're not going to be very effective. This is the time when voters are open to getting information. They're not inundated yet. They're not hearing about it every minute of the day on their social media or on the news in their communities. This is the time when people start thinking about not only who they're going to vote for, but in these districts, if they're going to vote at all. So we want to start early. We want to start soft. This is the perfect time to get started. So I really encourage everybody, if you're here tonight and you're thinking about postcarding, to when we get off this call, to jump on our website and order some cards. It's early enough. The deadline for these current campaigns is not until July 1st, so you have lots of time, and get started with us right away. This is the most important time to be working, is right now, starting in June. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joy for a little bit, and she's going to talk about our programs. Joy, you're muted. Yeah, just turn on. Thanks.
I did such a good introduction, but nobody heard it. Okay. Anyway, I just want to welcome everybody here. I want to reiterate what Lori said about how important it is to start taking an action now. And we provide so many wonderful ways for you to do it. If you are out of town and do not live in Marin County, we have our online request program. You go, which you'll see for all of these events, you go to our website, you go under Take Action, Write, which Lori will walk you through a little bit later. And there you are able, you'll see all of the options and how you sign up. For online requests, Lori is in charge of that, and you will, when you sign up online, you'll be able to pick your campaigns. The online program, why is it saying that? No, cancel. You will have your choice of the Senate or the House. For our packet programs and our in-person programs, we only do one campaign at a time, which right now is Ohio. So for the online requests, you go in, you decide which campaign you want to write for, you pick how many postcards you want to write. You will send a request to Lori. She will send you addresses. She will send you a script. You need to make sure even before you request them that you've got supplies, that you've got your postcards, you've got your stamps. We kind of like, if you saw on Lori's postcard, to put a sticker or do, something fun to kind of draw attention to the postcard. And you would be required to get all of that on your own. And usually Lori has those addresses and all of that to you within 24 hours. We've just started postcarding parties. It's kind of a way, and again, this is really, well, you could do this out of town as well, because Lori could send you the list and Lori could send you all of the addresses. You just need to make sure you've got all of your supplies for your guests. Make sure you've got your postcards, your stamps, stickers, maybe some colored pencils, something to make your postcards festive. If you are in Marin, you have two options. You can use the online request and get your own supplies, or up to 10 packets. We will provide up to 10 packets for a postcard party. We will even come and attend and help if you want to get started with somebody there who's experienced, or if you're an experienced postcarder and you just want to have a party and you don't need us, that's also perfect. In each packet, we include the addresses, the script, postcards, stickers, and stamps. For a packet, the cost is $5 per packet, which doesn't even quite cover our cost anymore, since costs keep going up and up and up, but we're trying to keep it at a rate that is affordable for everybody. We also have in-person events. So again, if you're local, we meet every Tuesday at Panera in Novato. And we have an amazing, amazing group of people. We've been postcarding together since 2019. We have grown from a group of 10 to now we're almost 30, meeting every Tuesday, like-minded people, meeting new friends, talking, writing. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful venue for us. And then we've just started, which we started yesterday, Action Day Sundays. And we're also going to be doing postcarding there. It's going to be every other Sunday from 3 to 5. We had a great group yesterday. We had 17 people. We sat out in a beautiful backyard. Our director is nice enough to offer her home. We also had phone bankers there. So it's just, again, a chance to work together with people who feel and think the same way that you do. And if none of those work, we have our packet program. We have, okay, sorry, my son's yelling. We have a bin, 2 bins, one that's in Greenbrae for everybody who lives in Southern California. And then we have a bin in Novato for everybody, for those people who live in Northern Marin, or even people come down from Petaluma. The packets, again, they're all $5 a packet. They all have everything that you need. They've got blue cards, well, the postcards, they've got the stamps, they've got the stickers, they've got the instructions, it's just everything that you need. And again, that is a $5 cost to get those packets. Between Lori and I and Annie and the rest of our team, we are available really 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. If you want to write us, reach out, somebody will get back to you for sure within a day with any questions or concerns. And if you have any questions now or something I said too fast or didn't explain, please put a question in the chat and we'll answer it at the end of the program. Thank you guys again for being here. So, okay, I've got one more slide, guys. Sorry, I forgot this part. Okay, so one of the things that's very important when you pick up a packet is to look at the deadline. You don't want to pick up a packet on June 30th and the deadline is July 1st. So you want to make sure that you have paid attention. Yes, you don't want to request any more packets than what you can use because we want all of them to get sent and our demand has been great and we want to keep it that way. So please make sure you don't request more than you think you can do. You handwrite the script, and the biggest issue is please do not make changes. I know everybody comes in and thinks, well, this might not be quite correct or that might not be correct. They have been vetted many, many times by many people who know what they're doing. So we have to trust them and we have to follow their script. It is a promise that we also make to them. You will normally, within 24 hours, there'll be a turnaround time for both packets and online requests. I was out of town last week, so I had to ask a couple of people to wait a day or so until I could get everything organized from where I was. But normally they are available the same day or within 24 hours. Yes, again, for online, please make sure that you have your supplies available before you request the addresses. And packets, again, please only take what you request. We build the packets based on the requests that we get. There is an envelope in each bin where you can put the $5 for your packet. And same thing for my events. If you're able to join me on Tuesdays, and we didn't have this, and it's really important that you sign up. And again, Lori's going to go through all of that when she walks you through the the website. So I know that I have enough packets. We actually had a day where I ran out and couldn't give them to people who had signed up because so many people who didn't sign up showed up. So we want to get as many postcards out there as possible. So we do everything we can to accommodate you, but all of the things that you can help us with are very, very appreciated. And thank you, and forgive the screaming in my house. I'll turn it back over to Lori.
Thanks, Joy. All right, so if you haven't worked with us before, I'm going to walk you through the website. It's really simple. We're going to go through the online request system, the packet request system, and then how to look at for our events. This is our website. The red bar at the top is sort of breaking news. Anything that's brand new for our organization, you're going to see at the cross and the red bar. But for you guys, for postcarding, if you're specifically coming to us for that, the first place is our calendar. You just hover over, this is the navigation bar, just hover over it. It'll bring you to the current month, which is June, and you'll see all of our events. And it's worth just perusing around it when you have some time. We have a lot of different events. We have trainings like this for all of our tactics. We have phone banking trainings, canvassing, texting, just general volunteer orientations. We also have a lot of events. We have many canvasses. If you're here in the Bay Area and you want to help us out with canvassing in the Central Valley, we go pretty much every weekend. We have phone banks every Tuesday and every Saturday. And then we have Joy's events on Tuesdays. Our action days are on Sunday afternoons, where we gather together all the tactics and work together, writing postcards and making phone calls. It's very social. It's a lot of fun. But this is a great place to peruse and sign up for an event if you're here. Our educational programs, our state of play calls, which is our election analysis and updates, kind of like what we did today, but in much more detail. Those are once a month. They're called State of Play. It's coming up in 2 weeks. And if you feel like learning a new tactic and want to tackle some phone banking or some texting, you can sign up for those too. So it's very busy. By August, we'll probably be having something just about every day. But for postcarding, it's the Take Action tab that you want to go to. And when you hover over that, it brings up all of our programs, our phoning, writing, texting, canvassing, our donation. We have a donation program for the neediest candidates in Senate and House races, and some ways to spread Democratic messaging. But for you guys, for today, you just want to come down to Right Voters. And everything on the Right Voters page, everything that you need to know is right here. Joy and I make every effort to answer every email question within 24 hours, but many times you're going to find the answer right here. So I suggest you start here, and if you still have a question, email us and we will get back to you as soon as we can. The beginning of the page, I'm just going to be scrolling down here, his same little bar graph that I just showed you. You'll see where we are in our goal towards 100,000. Talks about our focus this year, the House and the Senate. Then there'll be a section for current campaigns, where we're working and what the deadline is. So this is your first point of information to see the different campaigns that you have a choice of. Ohio Vote by Mail, the California 13 supporting Adam Gray, and the California 47 supporting Senator Dave Min. Ways to participate. This is sort of a review of what we've done today, that you can come to our meetings, you can go online, you can do local events. But this is where you get your requests. And it's under Let's Write Postcards. And there are blue bars, and these are the links that take you to what you need to do. So if you're a new writer, you're not really sure that you want to start right away, though I really encourage you to, you can just join our team and that will put you on our email list. Every time you, by requesting packets or addresses, you'll automatically be put on our team. And we send out emails about every 2 to 4 weeks, letting you know what's going on, what's coming up, where we're working, especially if we change campaigns. If you are interested in online, you will come here and you'll request, you hover over that blue bar, you click on it, and it will take you to a request form. The left side will tell you what campaigns you have a choice of, and on the right side is where you fill out the information to submit your request. The first time you do it, you're going to have to put in your name, and I'm just going to fill mine in here. Mine will auto-populate, and then you need to tell me which campaign you want to work in, and I'm just going to say I want to work in California 13, and I want 60 addresses. The deadline isn't for a couple of weeks. I think I can write 60 in 2 weeks, and I submit my request. When that happens, you're going to get this confirmation email. Thank you for supporting our program. Please note you will receive your addresses and instructions within 24 hours. So I usually do it before then. I try not to come back before, I try not to go to bed without clearing my email out of all my requests. Sometimes I have something going on and I can't get to it, but for the most part, I try to get to it pretty quickly during the day. Once you've done this once and you've put this information in, you won't have to do it again. It will automatically recognize you. But you do have to put it in or it will not take your request. It's part of the way the system works. If you have questions about your supplies, if you're writing online and you want to do this on your own, if you don't live here locally or you just want to take care of it yourself, you do need to collect your supplies. And Joy talked about that. We have a link here. It says you can find more information on how to obtain supplies here. This will have links it takes you to a document, and it will give you links to order pre-stamped postcards from the United States Postal Service, just ordering stamps, Amazon, a site for just getting plain postcards. We get a lot of questions about what works best. And what I am going to say is don't go spending a lot of money on fancy cards. You can order beautiful things from Etsy or Amazon that have voting images on it and all these fancy graphics. there's no evidence that shows that that's more effective than just a plain white card. In fact, there's some evidence that shows that it's less effective. We want our card to stand out in somebody's stack of mail. And at the end of an election cycle, you get so many flyers and so many mailers, and most of the time we just toss them in the trash. And that will happen if you order something and use something that's really fancy. You want to use something that will stand out. We all pick a letter out of our stack of mail, or a postcard that's written, from a friend that's traveling. That's one of the things we pull out. And that's what we want our writers to do. We want your card to stand out. So don't spend a lot of money. If you've already done it, or you have a stack of pretty flowered postcards in your desk, certainly go ahead and use them. We want it to be cost effective, but you don't need to spend a lot of money. It's actually more effective to use just plain cards. We use cardstock that we cut into 4 pieces. Everything has to be 4 by 6 or less. That's what accepts a postage stamp. But go ahead and collect your supplies and then order your addresses. If you want to use Joy's program and use packets, you're going to use this bar here that says request packets. The form looks very similar to the other one. It'll tell you what campaign is available. It will give you the address. What she needs to know is where you're going to pick it up, down in Greenbrae or in Novato. So I'm just going to, again, fill this out. I'm going to say I'm going to pick up in Novato, and I'm going to take 4 packets. And Joy, I'm not really going to do this, but this is a practice one. You submit it. It will give you the addresses of where to pick it up. If you want to host a postcard party, you can click this. This will give you information about a whole toolkit on how to do it, with links to order your supplies, ways that we can help you. You can go through that on your own, but that is an option for you. It's just a way to have even more effect. You can write 10 postcards a week, or you can have a party and everybody can write 10 and you can write 100, all told. So it's up to you. We're seeing more and more of that now as people are feeling more comfortable gathering. Then at the end of the page, we have events for postcarders. This is where you can respond to or RSVP to Joy's Panera event, if you want to go to that, which is the social event of the week and here around us. Our action days are on every other Sunday. That will probably go to every Sunday starting in the middle of the summer. And this event, we'll be holding it again in July, talking about some different things then, but you're welcome to come back. We love it when people come back every month. And then this is last month's postcarding call. You can go to our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and enter Indivisible Marin, you'll see all of our calls that have been here since January. But this will be our last one. If you miss one, you can always go back. And at the bottom, we just have some information like what we've already talked about tonight about the candidates that we're writing for. So that is it for me.